Hello ladies and gentlemen, in this video we are going to see about the process of weathering. In the previous video we have seen that weathering is a exogenic process. Weathering was nothing but a mechanical disintegration or chemical decomposition of a rocks. So it was a decomposition or destruction of a rocks due to the mechanical destruction, mechanical forces or physical forces, or due to the chemicals. Okay, by a geomorphic agents. Geomorphic agents are nothing but a external or exogenic agents like air, wind, water, snowfall, etc. So these exogenic forces or geomorphic agents causes a mechanical disintegration or chemical decomposition of rocks. So that process is known as a weathering. So the factors that was responsible for the weathering process are rock structure. What is the structure of a rocks? How the rock was structured. So based upon that, its disintegration will be there. Then climate of a region, then topography of a land, then what are all the plants that also present in a particular landform. So these are all considered as a factors, okay, so that initiate the weathering processes. Okay, weathering was classified into three major types. First one is the chemical weathering, second one is a physical or mechanical weathering, and the third one is a biological activity. Due to these three activities, weathering was happened. First we see about a chemical weathering. So in a chemical weathering, first process is the hydration. Hydration is nothing but a process or a destruction that also happened due to the water. Okay, so whenever the water enters into your rocks, okay, if some rocks were there, so water enters into the rocks and causes a destruction. Okay, creates some stress on your rocks. Okay, these water or hydration causes a physical stress. Okay, it causes some chemical, not only the physical stress but also chemical changes. It creates a physical stress, and at the same time it also causes the chemical changes in the elements of your rocks, or the chemical changes in the materials of your rocks. So take for example, some minerals will absorb the waters and expands. Okay, so it causes the chemical changes in the material of rocks, which causes the disintegration. Next one is the oxidation and the reduction. Oxidation is nothing but a formation of oxides. So formation of oxides also responsible for the rust. Take for example rust of iron. So rocks also consist of iron. So whenever oxidation process was happened, what happens is that the iron that was a presence in the rocks will get rusted. So what happens if iron was rusted? It leads to a disintegration, and reduction is the reversal form of oxidation. So frequent oxidation and reduction process leads to the disintegration of a rocks. Then formation of a solution. So what is the solution is that whenever water enters into some rocks or some materials, it will completely erode that material. Okay, the material will form a solution with that of a water. Okay, so it causes a leaching. So solution will lead to a leaching. Take for example water or solution formation on the limestone. So the water completely or solution completely leaches the limestone. So gradually the disintegration of a limestone will get happen. So limestone is just an example. Disintegration of other materials will also happen due to the solution process. So water forms a solution with that of a material, and then it leaches away. Answer: carbonation. So what is the disintegration due to the carbonation is that water, air, wind consist of a carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide causes the decomposition of some materials like some minerals like a limestone. Okay, carbon dioxide causes the decomposition of a limestone, and carbon dioxide also initiates some some processes which leads to the disintegration of rocks. So these are all the chemical weathering process. Next one is the physical weathering, physical or mechanical weathering process. Okay, pressure release. So rocks was formed before millions of years ago. Okay, right? Rocks was formed due to the magma millions of years ago. So what happens in these years is that a stress was continuously built on rocks, because rocks was not formed in a single event. It was a continuous formation. What happens is that, take for example, if some rocks is formed, some another rocks was formed above these rocks, and some another rocks was formed above these rocks. So it was a continuous process. So continuously the stress is created on these rocks. So whenever some disturbances happen due to any events, like disturbances even due to the human activities, what happens is that it will create a release of a energy, that was built up over a period of years. So whenever energy was released suddenly, what happens is that cracks will build up. Whenever suddenly the energy was released, what happens is that it creates the cracks, it weakens the rocks. So that was a reason for the disintegration due to the pressure release. Next, temperature changes. So what happens during the temperature changes is that, take for example, changes in the temperature causes a weakening of a rocks. So take for example, if there is a very high temperature that falls on a rock, so the rocks get, the outer surface of a rocks will eat up, but the interior surface of a rocks will not eat much, very much. Okay, will not eat very much. It was cooler when compared to the outer surface. Okay, some rocks is there, heat temperature was increased, and sunlight was continuously fallen on the rocks. The outer surface was eaten up fastly than that of a interior surface. Okay, because interior surface now was not exposed to the direct sunlight, only the outer surface was exposed to the direct sunlight. So outer surface was heated fastly than that of a interior surface. During a night times, whenever the sun sets during a night times, what happens is that this outer surface was started cooling. So these changes happens continuously over the rocks. So what happens is that over a period of a time, the continuous changes in the temperature causes the weakening of the outer surface of the rocks. So the cracks will build up on a outer surface. Gradually, this outer surface will start deteriorate, will start disintegrate. Next one is salt weathering. What happens? What is the salt weathering? Is that a salt like sodium chloride? Whenever the salt solution, okay, whenever the salt solution enters the rocks, rocks uh, through gaps or through cracks, what happens is that whenever such salt started crystallization, such solution started crystallization, it will lead to a disintegration of a rock. Take for example, on some rocks the salt solution was entered by means of a cracks that was present in a rock. So what happens when the solution will form a crystals inside the rocks? When the temperature cools, it will create a stress. A stress was built up in a rock, which creates a crack, and gradually the rocks will get disintegrated. Next one is a frost action and crystal formation. So this is also a same like that of a previously said. What happens is that by means of a cracks, whenever the water enters, and it will become ice, it forms a ice and frost. What happens is that uh, whenever uh, whenever the water was converted into ice, its volume increases. Okay, whenever the water is converted into ice, the volume increases. So the water that enters into the cracks will get converted. Whenever it was converted into ice due to the lower temperature, what happens is that its volume get increased inside the rock, which causes the building up of a pressure or stress inside the rock, which leads to disintegration of a rocks. Okay, so these are all the physical or mechanical weathering process. Next one is the biological activity. So biological activity was happens due to various causes like movements of earthworms, termites, and the rodents, which are living in the earth. Earthworms are causing a continuous disturbances in the earth, and rodents and termites are causing a disturbances in the earth, which leads to the disintegration of rocks. Then plugging and cultivation activities by the human beings. We are doing agricultural activities and we are doing a plugging and cultivation, which creates a pressure and stress on a rocks or a stress on a landforms, which will lead to the disintegration of a rocks. Then tree roots. Tree roots is a major element that creates a that causes the disintegration of a landform. Okay, whenever the tree grows, it roots spreading deeply into the land, which causes a disintegration of a uh, changes in the landform. Okay, but tree roots also saves the landform whenever the erosion happen, whenever the take for example, trees prevents the landform from a floods. Okay, so but tree roots, whenever the tree grows, it roots spread deeply into rocks. It also enter, it also breaks the rocks. A tree root also breaks the rocks. So these are all the biological activity that causes the changes in the landform or disintegration of a landforms. So this is the process of a weathering that causes the changes in the landform. Thank you.